It's really good, as always.
Chuck made a motion to open. Do we have a second?
Second.
Vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so there are four of us, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us here. We meet the quorum four, we exceeded the quorum of 4. Chuck made the motion to order. I don't need to do a roll call of voting members. We can see who they are. Cindy's here. There are no others to acknowledge. The first item to do is to review, well, really not to review, but think about it. I'm sure you read it. Approve the March 20th, 2023 meeting minutes that Chris sent out.
Motion to approve as written.
Second.
Any discussion of the minutes? Having none. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, approved unanimously. Next, Cindy brought this to my attention maybe a month or so ago about establishing an inclement weather policy for the Council on Aging programs in the van. I think you said Georgetown had one?
So I've looked, obviously this doesn't matter now because we're getting into spring and summer, but I was trying to think ahead for next season. So I've noticed on a couple of different newsletters an inclement weather policy. So, for example, with Georgetown, the Georgetown Council on Aging and Senior Center will be open for business in inclement weather unless all Georgetown offices are closed. If the Georgetown Public Schools are closed, there will be no van rides, meet rides, and all COA programs will be canceled. And then it goes on to talk about H-span and home delivered meals and things. But Kathy and I were talking and we're thinking that it's probably a good idea for us to have some kind of policy in place, just so that if we have, this sort of came up with the St. Patrick's Day luncheon, because the day before the St. Patrick's Day luncheon was a storm. And people were calling, are you still gonna have the luncheon? And we said that, that's tomorrow. So yes, we'll still have, everything will be cleared, by the next day. But I think it'll also help ease people if they know what our policy is in terms of cancellation of programs should there be bad weather.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it seems to make sense. I was thinking, I don't think John and Chuck probably don't know this, but I had put together, we inherited a set of so-called bylaws for the Council on Aging that weren't really bylaws. They couldn't be called bylaws. There is one bylaw that the town has that established the Council on Aging. It was voted on at the annual town meeting last year, I think. It's bylaw number 8 something, I think. So I got that document that used to be called Bylaws for the Newbury Council on Aging, and I changed the name to like Operating Guidelines, something like that. Okay, so I'm thinking, is it best to add that as an operating guideline, or do we have to make a motion to accept it and use it on the website?
Well, I'd want to put it on the newsletter and the website, but I mean, it makes sense to have it in that operating guidelines.
Yeah.
Not quite sure we need a rule on that. I would say at the discretion of the director, because that's just common sense, folks. Come on, we don't
Yeah.
need a bylaw to tell us that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Put it down.
Does anyone have anything to discuss, or?
How's it noted for the township that you were referencing? Is
So
it noted just-
Georgetown is going by public schools.
Okay.
Andover, same thing, public schools. Beverly Public Schools are closed due to inclement weather. But I will tell you that the town doesn't close if the schools are closed.
Yeah.
Only at the discretion, it's either if the governor declares a state of emergency, then the municipalities are sent home. Or if town administrator in discussion with police and DPW feel that the roads are too hazardous, then they'll send staff home. So other, programs could be canceled, ever staff would still be in the building unless we're told to go.
I think when the schools call it off, a lot of it is public safety because of the driving
Right.
of the school buses.
Right.
True.
So
True.
that, I believe, is a good base to base it on, the schools closing.
do you think, Susan?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Joe said. Do you have a preference?
No, I think that works, because that's also, if you see, or you hear in the news, you see in the news that, you know, Triton is closed, or Newbury Elementary School is closed for the day, you know, don't bother coming to the Council on Aging. You don't have to call us, you don't have to,
It's not perfect.
right.
I mean, you and I discussed the incident about 6 weeks ago where the storm came in, and I came early because we were chatting on Council on Aging issue, and hundreds and hundreds of private cars going into Triton, as well as the yellow buses. At 9:45 when I left, it was an exact reversal. We were emptying out yellow buses, underway, picking kids up. And the next morning, there was a mea culpa for having not called school in a violent, icy snowstorm. You know, just trying to fit in the days before June, so they don't have extended days in June, which is kind of a critical motivation that doesn't always work in the best interest of safety.
I reiterate, discretion of the director.
Yeah,
I agree with Chuck. I think
yeah, I do too.
you go by the editor of the newsletter, and when you think it's appropriate to have it on there, and even on the website, the Council on Aging website, if that's what you'd like to do, that's, I think,
One minor request,
sure.
call the report in Georgetown, and see what their guidelines are. Could you do that, Cindy?
What do you mean they're guidelines? Like Georgetown's policy is right
Yes.
here.
Right.
I have several policies
The
right here.
policy is, but quiz them and ask them if they had to put it in front of their directors, or in front of town, or if it's just the discretion of the
Okay.
director. Okay?
Okay,
That would be a good guideline
All right,
for
so,
us.
I mean, leaving today, I'd say it's a discretion of the director, and if that needs to be reversed, we can talk about it in a future meeting.
If so,
If so,
okay, yes.
okay?
And you might want to
So
notify.
how would the director notify everybody?
Right, because I mean, that's the whole reason we hired this young lady, is to
So-
run things, you know?
No, we should have a call.
So when you're saying like when it's at my discretion, so
Yeah.
whenever we have people register for programs, we take their phone number down.
So you'd
So
have
we
to
would
make
call
phone
them.
calls, okay.
And make it a bright red notice in the next letter saying, just literally, notice to council, from Council Aging
Yeah.
Director, foul weather, whatever. And then in broad, heavy capital letters, put it out there so that folks are notified that in inclement weather, they need to be observant, they need to pay attention.
So Cindy, how does that, like if the Council on Aging is closed because of inclement weather, how does that affect the staff? Are you not, so you don't need to come in, or do you have to follow the town?
We come in
policy?
unless the governor declares a state of emergency.
Okay.
Or if the town administrator calls me as the department head and says, don't come in
Mhm.
because of the weather, then I would be in charge of calling the staff and letting them know.
Okay,
Well, that
so you're
kinda
just
makes
talking about
sense,
canceling for programs?
For programs, yeah, so if we had something scheduled and you were going to come,
Yeah,
I want you to know not to come.
Yeah, the one complication is scheduled drivers' requirements for taking people to meetings or medical appointments.
Right.
Those would have to be canceled.
Mhm.
That would have to be a strong activity act.
I think they do an excellent job communicating to people
Yeah.
about transportation,
Yeah.
getting it set up, and also if there are issues with it, so I think Cindy knows what to do.
Okay,
I
Next
concur.
agenda item, take one and pass it on, please.
after you, sir.
Just to, see how we're,
There's two here.
one for Cindy, oh, you're, okay, great.
Yeah.
I have one for Damon and Chris.
There you go.
Okay, what's in front of you is the ranking of the activities from the surveys that the Council on Aging mailed out a bunch of years ago. We sent out 2,200 surveys, 192 were
Wow.
returned, 8.7% return. The statistics underneath that don't mean too much to me, except for, I mean, it doesn't matter where people live or whether there's family nearby, yes or no. Sometimes it does, or whether they live alone. But the social media part of it, the 192 people, 107
Sorry,
107 used Facebook, has social media, 58 people do not, and you can see the distribution, YouTube, Snapchat. We're trying to find out where people got their information from. And that kind of supports what Chris Howe has been talking about in terms of maybe we can attract more people with a Facebook, and that's what Cindy's working on. So we get a check mark for that. The director's working on Council on Aging Facebook site.
It's actually up.
It's actually up.
I was gonna talk about
We get double check mark, okay? Homework is done. The ranking of activities is something I really want to look at pretty quickly. 89 people said they'd like to have exercise classes. We don't have 89 people who show up for exercise classes, but the point is, we do have them, okay? Art classes. There was a strong interest in art classes, 69 people. Certainly the watercolor class, I think, is restricted by the number of students the Bill can handle, okay? But we do offer art classes, not only watercolors, but
drawing.
Knitting could be an art, I guess. Greeting cards.
Yep, we have
So there's an offering of art classes.
Yep.
No cost educational. I think we've seen some different things come in to the Council on Aging for education purposes at no cost, of course. Games. Definitely once a month there's been a game night. That's where people show up to beat me at whatever game they want. So we do that. Crafts. Crafts are happening, okay? Trips to restaurants and shopping and events. Yeah, we still do shopping trips. I think we're scheduling restaurant
We are
trips.
scheduling some restaurant trips this
Okay.
spring, summer, and fall.
COVID sort of shut that down for a while, but we're beyond that now. Health education, there's been a blood pressure clinic that I can remember.
Yep, that's once a
And
month.
a balance clinic,
Yep.
so to speak. Joyce, I think you talked about this the other day, somewhat, walking clubs. Okay, so there's an interest in walking clubs, and maybe that's
Kathy is working on that for the, at Plum Island
awesome.
for this summer.
We went to Plum Island once, and Susan actually hosted it. That was awesome. We had a picnic, and then we went on one of the trails. And
There wasn't much attendance though.
no, there wasn't much attendance, but it was a really neat thing to do. I mean, we had to drop out because my wife had problems with the pollen at the time.
Oh,
But I went back on my own with my grandson. It was an awesome visit, okay? So, thank you for that, Susan.
You're welcome.
Bingo, we do. Parties. Parties. There's definitely.
Hey there.
Hello, everybody. Sorry I'm late.
Good morning. Can you shuttle that to Damon, please? Damon, we're just going through the survey results. The survey that was done on by the Council on Aging several years ago. And we're really focused on the ranking of activities. And we're sort of calibrating, checking off if we do what people seem to be interested in. So far, we've gotten as far as walking club. We're not doing it per se. We did it once at Plum Island, but Kathy is essentially working on something right now, is what Cindy had to tell us. Bingo we do. Parties, we just did the volunteer recognition party and St.
But
Patrick's
we've
Day
done St.
party,
Patrick's
Valentine's Day party, Thanksgiving,
Holiday.
Christmas.
Yep.
That's happening. Men's breakfast. So that would be if I showed up for breakfast. There aren't too many men that attend events at the Council on Aging. When we had veterans breakfast, I would classify that as a men's breakfast. There was an awesome turnout. I think because the theme was veterans breakfast, but we don't really do a men's breakfast.
Right.
Okay? Ping pong, all those 6 people, but there may be something in the works with a piece of equipment.
Right, and perhaps if we have it, it will draw people.
So where's the ping pong table?
So I have not purchased that yet, but I do have donation funds to allow for that. And that is something that can fold up and go in the closet when we're not using it.
Oh, okay.
Might also be something that is a good intergenerational.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
often play with my nieces and nephew, but you can play with your grandkids as well.
Right.
So
That's true, that's true. And I think that's something, that intergenerational thing is something you brought up at the last meeting, which is a good follow-on, applies to this. Other, three people, we do lots of other, I don't know what to say about other, but the rest are diminishing, but movies are listed down there as one person was interested in movies, and there are movies scheduled.
Well, we had them scheduled, but we weren't getting anybody. We had one movie, I think we had 4 people. And then other movies would be like one person would show up. So we have stuff and we're happy to show movies.
And we also have a popcorn making machine that makes excellent popcorn.
It does.
John Nelson Ferrara.
Yes, understood.
You like popcorn, I
I
understand.
do.
Yeah.
We do utilize that a lot when we have our theater group come.
Yeah, well,
That's a big.
you and I talked about what movies do. I mean, the gals like to meet face to face, and movies is shoulder to shoulder watching. It's not meeting.
Right.
It's just sitting shoulder to shoulder. It's what the boys do. Sit shoulder to shoulder and watch ball games.
Well, when the women have come to watch movies, we have discussion during the movie.
I
So,
mean, chatter.
yeah.
Yes.
some of these, especially some of the later things, also seem like things that the library does as well.
Right. I
Yes.
don't want to duplicate what they're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
A book club.
Yeah, book club, and so, yeah, duplicating isn't necessarily good, but doing things in combination where, you know, if the library's got a book club, reaching out to people who,
Piggyback on that.
yes,
Yeah, sure.
at least doubling the communication is good,
Yeah,
even if they're doing it at the library.
excellent.
Good idea.
So I think that, I mean, where most of the interests were pretty strong, I think we have activities that support that, which is great. The ranking of services, flu shots, vaccinations is a seasonal kind of thing. It's done. We did flu shot, we did COVID type stuff. We're doing COVID tests. Pass out still 81 people are interested. That seemed to be a pretty significant theme. Grab and go meals we don't do anymore. We do traveling chef, but that happens once a month, yes?
Yes, in person. Yeah.
Opportunity and space to speak with council and aging staff, town officials, or state. Yeah, there's a space, there certainly is a space, there's a special room where you can have HIPAA type discussions with the right people, or tax discussions with people. We did have town official last week, Tracy was there last week, and there were, I don't know, 8 or 9 people, 10 people, I think.
Maybe 8.
8. So, I mean, it was available and, you know, people could do it. It's whether they came or not remains to be seen. But we need to get the magnet out to draw them to do that. State reps,
So once a month, Mary Ann Nay is the liaison from Senator Bruce Tarr's office. We used to have a representative from Lenny Mayor's office. Obviously, he's no longer in office, but I have not heard from a representative from his office yet.
yeah.
But generally, they come in once a month. It's listed as constituent services on our calendar, and folks are free to come in. They set their schedule. I don't set that schedule. It's, you know, they go around to a million different councils on aging in the state. So, you know, wherever their area is, they have to fit in all of those visits in a month, in addition to everything else that they have to do. So they set their schedule, but people are welcome to come in if you have some kind of concern that you want to speak to Bruce Tarr about. Mary Ann Nay is his representative, and she's there.
And that's who attended the volunteer luncheon?
She was there.
Yeah, great,
And
great.
you may need to invite the new reps. You send her a note saying, oh, we're doing this and this date, and we haven't seen you at our meetings, because it's a lot when you get into one of those offices.
And you're trying to, yeah. But I do know that she has been to other
Yeah.
COAs, so,
Yeah, so
I'll
reaching
let
out.
her know that we're here.
Would like to see her.
I can carry that letter to the post office too.
Okay.
Well, it's a phone call to her chief of staff. That's how you're gonna get through the door. Just find out who she's now
Okay.
having help her run the office.
Medical transportation is done through NEAT.
Yes. We also have the van on Tuesday afternoons available for medical transportation.
Congregate meals.
So we're not a meal site per se, but we do the traveling chef once a month. For game night, we always serve dinner. We're looking to add a dinner once a month, just as a dinner. Come have dinner at the Council on Aging. No other program attached to that. But a lot of what we do is there's food involved. It's a very social event. So.
Tax preparation assistance, we did for the...
We did that for the first time this year. So AARP Tax Aid, we worked with them. They provide services, I want to say for a month and a half, maybe 2 months during tax season at Georgetown COA, Newburyport COA, I want to say Groveland. There's several in the area that they go to. And they're there. I think they're at Georgetown twice a week for a month and a half. They're at Newburyport 3 times a week for a month and a half.
Wow.
So we do refer people out to those, but I asked specifically if we could have a day. I asked if we could be a site. She said it was a lot to set up as a site. And I don't think we have the participation numbers for having volunteers in the office 2 or 3 days a week for a month and a half. So she gave me 15 appointments for one day at the end of March, and I filled 12. So hopefully next year we'll have a few more people.
Good. Shine gets a check mark.
Yes.
Health monitoring, I think I already said we did a blood pressure clinic, among other things, and the balance in Gordon College. It's not really monitoring, but the blood pressure clinic was. I think I was downstairs when she came in to do blood pressure monitoring, and there were a few people that came in, not busloads of people that
Right.
come in for it, but it's available. Van transportation, yes, I mean, there was a strong ranking for that, and we do that, and we should be getting our new van sometime in the fourth quarter, September. Great. Grief support. They both get a lot of grief from me, so.
Well, we are working on
Not kind of
I think
brief.
it's in June, we're doing a caregiver support
That's
group.
awesome.
We're just gonna start with one to see how it goes, but if this is something that folks are interested on going,
You're doing that with Allison?
the woman that we're working with is willing to come on a monthly basis. She does this at other COAs, and it's very,
She's remarkable.
she
John,
kind of, she doesn't really necessarily run the group, she said, it's more, she stimulates things
Yeah.
to happen with the folks that are there.
Thanks for mentioning that, John, recommending her. The second page is we kind of asked some soft questions about what, in your daily life, what are your top 3 priorities of worry, what are your worries or concerns? And health was a big one. Can savings last? I mean, I'm not sure what the role of the Council on Aging is, other than the fact that we don't charge for anything.
Right.
But the rest of them are just, you can read them at your leisure. And if you participate in available services and activities, do you believe that you will be physically more active? You can read those as well, okay? It's sort of a subjective answers to why they would like to participate in those activities and how they feel. So I just wanted to go through that just to reassure everyone that Cindy is the director and Kathy is the organizer of these events are doing a great job, I think, in terms of trying to do what people wanted the Council on Aging to do. Having said that, chairperson's report. Okay. Damon, you and Chris and Susan and Chuck, I sent an email out. Your term on this, in this group expires in June. If you're interested in continuing, send in an email to the select board stating so, or stating you don't want to, whatever your choice is. And then in May, we'll go through, we may or may not go through the process of trying to elect the voting member leadership roles. That has to happen in June. We have to establish a chair, who'll be the chair, vice chair, and secretary. In June, every year it has to be done, has to be refreshed. So be thinking about it in May.
May we make the nomination?
May we make the nominations. And you know, Joyce already brought up the point before we started the meeting that if someone chooses and requests not to be extended on the board, obviously they won't have a vote to determine who's in the leadership roles, okay? I think sounds to reason. You notice that the agenda was missing citizen concerns. We had some training a week or so ago by town council. Apparently there was a Supreme Judicial Court rule about the any town's public participation policy for open meetings, because there seemed to be a violation of the Commonwealth's Constitution. So there was a case with respect to general public forums, the town of Southborough, and the bottom line is an incident happened at a meeting like this where a citizen and citizen concern had a sign, two-sided sign, said some not so nice, I'll say insulting things addressed to the board that was present. And in cases like that, that person is supposed to address statements to the chair, not to individuals on the board. At any rate, it was not handled well. People got upset. I believe even when the mic was turned off at the end of the meeting, I think the chair said something back to that person that was insulting. And she took it to court, and it was determined that it was a violation of freedom of speech. So you have essentially two options: delete the agenda item that gives people that opportunity, or delete it, and just don't do it, but delete it, and then at the discretion of the chair, depending on topic that might be on the agenda, where maybe citizen concerns might be beneficial and helpful, the chair can say, we're going to go through citizens' concerns, it's going to be timed for the period will be 15 minutes, it'll be timed for 3 minutes, and so on and so forth. And also, no matter what is said, no matter if anything inflammatory is said or personal is said, there's a silence that happens, and it's just they can speak, no one's going to direct words back to them or emotions back to them, and it's typically ended with, you know, thank you for your information, thank you for expressing your concern. So we'll see how that works. I mean, obviously, for the past 6 or 7 months, we haven't had citizen participation here. But at any rate, that's what every chair on a committee or board was given a lesson by Lisa Mead, including the select board.
You can get a sense of just how impactful that is the last 2 Saturdays. Alicia Greco probably said 30 or 40 times each Saturday, you need to talk to me as the chair.
Yeah, she did. She directed the remarks to the chair. Yeah. All right. The director's report.
Okay, so we had a really good turnout for our volunteer luncheon last Thursday. Just a small way to thank people for everything they do for the Council on Aging throughout the year. So whether it's people like you serving on this council, we invited meat drivers who are doing a lot of driving for us, for people in town, taking them into Boston for medical appointments. There are some drivers that are doing that on the regular. So we invited them. People that help us in the office, people that help us fold the newsletter, people that teach programs, you know, some kind of little class that we're doing. So we're very appreciative to all of our volunteers. It was a small way to say thank you. But we had a little more than half the people that we invited came, so it worked out well. Mahjong is a group that is growing. We meet every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. We started with something like 4 women. I think we started with 3 women. 1 joined to learn. She's now up and running, and now there's, I think, 4 more women. So that's starting to grow. So if anyone's interested in Mahjong, please join us on Tuesdays at 1. We started a new group, rug braiding. Laura Short is a resident in town who braids rugs, like from scratch. It's amazing. So she is willing to teach this class. She has, I think, 5 students. And then other people that are already experienced rug braiders can certainly join the group too. And there is one who's actually helping. So that's working out well. That just started. But the new participants is at a maximum right now. She can't handle any more than 5 people, just because it's a pretty intricate process. That meets, I want to say, 2 or 3 Tuesdays a month in the evening. It's a 4:30 to 6:30 group. Our candidate forum is scheduled for Monday, May 1st at 11. If there's going to be a quorum of you present, I need to know, because I'll need to post that as a public meeting, just so you know. But that is for the contested races. The editor of the Daily News will be the moderator of the event. He will be asking questions of candidates who are in contested races.
Anyone?
It's Monday, May 1st.
Next
May
month.
1st.
At 11 a.m. here.
May
It will be recorded
Yep.
and will be available on the town's YouTube channel and Cable Access Channel 9
What time
as
is
well.
it start?
11 a.m.
And Dave Roberts is going to be the host?
Rogers, I think is his name. Yeah.
Dave Rogers.
So
yes.
he is the moderator
Okay.
of the event, so he will be the one asking
He's
questions.
doing that a while. He's been doing that a while.
Last year was the editor from last year, and then
Yeah.
before that was
Huh.
Richard Lodge. So the Newburyport Daily News has been doing
Yeah.
it for quite some time. I
Yeah.
think the Council on Aging has been involved since like 2017.
Yes.
Where we just basically, I booked the room, invited the candidates, and that's sort of
It's here.
it's here.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, it will be recorded, so if you cannot make it, you can always view it later. But if you do intend to come, I just need to know. So if there's a quorum of you present, I do need to
I'll
post
be
it.
there.
If you have questions for the
I am a
candidates,
definite maybe. Depends on work.
if you have questions for the candidates, you need to send them to Dave.
Yes,
The
so I had
newspaper.
put in the newsletter, and I will post my posting on Facebook about this as well. But if you have questions, this is not an interactive session on Monday, but if you have questions, you're certainly free to email or call Dave Rogers of the Newburyport Daily News for him to consider your question.
And that forum's going to cover select board,
Select board, school board,
school board,
and fish commissioner.
and fish commission.
Because those are the 3 contested races in town. So I do know that the select board and school committee, all of those candidates are attending. I have not heard from the fish commissioners yet, so I've got to reach out to them just to confirm if they're coming. But if you have questions, please feel free to submit to the Daily News. Pickleball starts on May 2nd. So I have been, in collaboration with the rec committee, we have ordered equipment. We have a woman who is going to be a volunteer instructor. We're filling up really quick. So the first 2 days that we're going to do this is going to be over at the basketball courts at the Central Street playing fields behind the field house. We will set up 3 courts. We have temporary nets and lines and paddles and balls, everything. So if you don't have any equipment, you're new to this game, it's not a problem. We'll have everything that you need. I would suggest sunscreen and a bottle of water.
Is it okay to just go watch, or do you need?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. If you're going to participate there, we will be there the first day, Kathy and I, to have people sign waiver forms.
Of course.
But we do need to know if you're coming to participate just because of the numbers. So that will be an ongoing program, Tuesdays and Thursdays, from May through September, I believe I booked the courts.
And that's starting, you said May 2nd.
May 2nd.
About how many people are interested so far?
We already have 15, I think, for each of those
Wow.
first 2 days. That's kind of the limit Laura said that she could handle in terms of brand new people learning the rules, learning, I mean, everything. How do you hit the
That's
ball? Where do I,
30
where do I stand?
30 people?
Yeah.
Some
But
of
that's
them-
not the experienced people. The experienced people are coming the following week, and we've already got a bunch of them
Wow,
signed up.
that's good.
So, This is a very hot thing, pickleball. So, I mean, we've got people calling from out of town that want to play. So, it's a big sport that's, I guess, it's really fun to play. My husband wants us to go try it sometime. So, it's all ages. Kids play it.
That's
all the
how
way
it
up through
started,
six.
as
Yeah.
a child's game.
Right.
And it matriculated to adults because tennis is too difficult after a certain level or available.
Yeah.
Hard to find competition for tennis, quite frankly.
Well, in this, you're playing with like a wiffle ball,
Yeah.
and it's almost like a
slower.
yeah,
Yeah.
slower pace, but still the net's lower. Like it's going to be a lot of fun.
What time in the morning at the field?
So those are 9 to 11
9 to 11.
on Tuesdays and Thursdays, starting May 2nd. Our next Coffee with a Cop will be on Wednesday, May 10th at 10 a.m. at the Council on Aging. The last one we did was a tour of the police station. I could not get away for that. Kathy was there. She said, I think there's about a dozen people.
Yeah, they did a nice job.
So they did a tour of the station, and then they went into the conference room upstairs, had some coffee and donuts, could talk with Aaron. He and Patty did approach me, the deputy chief and chief. They would like to talk about maybe changing the day so that the chief can attend. Usually when the deputy chief is doing this, the chief is at a monthly training that she goes to. So we're going to try and adjust it so that she can get there. They are huge advocates for community policing, so and they like to be available for folks to ask them questions or just have discussion. So we're working on that. We have a Mother's Day tea scheduled for Thursday, May 11th. That will be downstairs at our space here at Kentway. I believe I have a traveling chef this week. I do. So this Thursday at 12 o'clock is our April traveling chef. And then the May traveling chef is May 15th. That's a Monday. So I would love to do these on the same day of the week every month, but I'm limited by their availability. So that's kind of why these are thrown all over the month. So it would be nice if I could say, you know, the third Thursday of every month is traveling chef. It just doesn't work that way. So that's why it's kind of here, there, and everywhere. But we do ask people to call to reserve your spot. I do have a limit of 40 meals. So it's difficult if people don't call and then they show up. And usually I have enough food, but just in case, we ask that people call and reserve their spots. Beyonder is a new virtual tour program that we started. We did a visit to the Keukenhof Gardens in the Netherlands this month. So what this is it's like a Zoom tour. They're scheduled at a specific time based on when the tour guide is available, wherever in the world that they are. So this particular tour took place at the end of the day in the Netherlands. It was 12:30 for us. But it was kind of neat because the place was almost deserted. The gentleman who was our tour guide said, oh, it's really neat to come here at this time of day. It's not like littered with people. You know, you could see everything. So what he did was he started in one part of the gardens, showed us everything, gave us all kinds of information about the gardens. He is not a botanist, but he is a tour guide. So he, you know, many people, you can ask questions of the tour guide. What kind of tulips are those? What, you know, it was, they were asking him many questions about how to care for the tulips, and again, he, you know, he didn't have real answers about that, but he was very knowledgeable about the gardens themselves. He gave us all kinds of different anecdotes and stories. It was really neat. So he was live on the ground, taking us around with his iPhone and showing us close-ups, and it was, we learned a lot about tulips. There are way more varieties of tulips than I had any idea about. I thought tulips were tulips, and they're not. So our next one is scheduled for Thursday, May 18th at 10 a.m. That we are doing a tour of the pyramids by camel in Egypt. So our guide will take us around the pyramids and answer questions.
So for the tour that you did already with the tulips, I think Kathy and Cindy had tulips available for the attendees downstairs, if I'm right. Cookies,
We had all kinds of different
All kinds of
cheese
cookies,
and crackers
cheese.
and cookies, yeah.
So it was, they try to get.
Themed,
to
it's
the-
like a theme, right?
Right.
So we had windmill cookies and all kinds of, we went to Trader Joe's and had all kinds of cookies that were either, you know, from the Netherlands or that area.
You may be challenged for the pyramids.
We might be. So, we did send people home with tulips from this, but I will not hand you a small pyramid for you to take home, but we'll find something.
Rolls of toilet paper for the mummies.
Okay. Excellent idea, David, thanks.
Get some little toy camels, give them all.
All right, so we are,
My brother just came back from 22 days, and now you can speak into your phone and it types it out for you. And the verbiage was lengthy, extraordinary. It was exhausting just to read about the 22 days, and a bunch of it was on Camelback in Morocco. And about day 11, I was read out. And I emailed back to him, when are the photos coming in? By the way, I noted that on May 11th, or excuse me, day 11, I was in Methuen. And the only thing I regret is I didn't have a picture of downtown Methuen to share.
we're doing a cooking for one presentation with the dietitian from AgeSpan. So she has reached out to Councils on Aging. She would like to do presentations twice a year at each location. And gave us a plethora of topics to choose from. So I think cooking for one, we have been asked for something like that. Many folks, it's a struggle to go from cooking for your whole family down to just me. And I can still cook for my whole family, but then I'm eating the same thing for 6 nights because I have so many leftovers, you know. So it's just a presentation on how to do that. I believe she's going to have some recipes, and I do think she's going to do a demonstration, so that would be nice. So that is on May 18th at 1 p.m. This was actually left off our calendar by accident. It is in the newsletter.
And what day is that?
May 18th,
May 18th.
Thursday, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Our next watercolor class with Bill Duke is Tuesday, May 21st. He actually is going to have a show in July in Gloucester at the Art Association. He was invited to do a show. So Kathy and I are talking about how we can get a group to go to that show in the van, take a group up. There are several students of that class that come month after month after month, and they really know him. He is a phenomenal artist and has beautiful work. I'm going to try to attend the show myself, but we would like to take a group there, so we're working on that. And usually July, Bill doesn't have a class, so it would be kind of a nice, you know, gap program for us. Next game night is Tuesday, May 21st. I think we already did our April one. We did the April one early. So the next game night is May 21st. We have a Veterans Luncheon on Thursday, May 25th. That's the Thursday before Memorial Day. Spouses are invited to attend. I am finding Karen Tyler, our Veteran Service Officer, will be there. I don't think a lot of surviving spouses are aware of benefits that are available to them. I just connected someone with her because in passing she mentioned to me that her husband served in the Coast Guard and he has passed away. And I said, "Have you ever met with our Veteran Service Officer? You could be eligible for benefits." So I think there are a lot of people out there that aren't aware that there are, or as many of you in the military, you never want to access benefits that are there, neither do your spouses. So I had to kind of push her. She had that typical demeanor of, oh, someone else needs it more than I do. But these benefits are there for you. So we do try to push people to meet with Karen, learn about. She has a new assistant in her office who actually came to the Council on Aging to meet with this woman. She will go to your home and meet with you. She will meet with you here. It doesn't matter. She'll meet with you at her office. They're available.
That's good.
So I would implore anyone to please
She was
look into that.
directly responsible. I have one of the caregivers for Patty over the years. Son came out of Fort Benning right as COVID struck and ended up in Wainwright in Alaska. And it did a number on himself and many of his cohorts. And he came out bent, truly bent. And we met at Crazy Donut on N Street there for a couple of hours. And I called Karen, and he lives in Boxford, so it's not her jurisdiction. But she set me up with the VSO officer at Andover.
They are all connected.
And I went up to
Yeah.
see him, and he has done a splendid job to help this youngster out.
Yeah.
And I credit Karen's direction to,
Yeah, this is not just a council on
Good girl.
aging
I like
connection. This is for any service member
yeah.
in this town. She is available to meet with them. So she
They're a
is.
good organization. They really stretch out for kids.
You think Karen will talk about that at the Veterans Breakfast?
She will. So I'll introduce her.
Yeah.
She always gives like a little spiel. She has brought a. I asked her to get a chaplain to do a blessing of the meal. So this is not a real speaker event. It's just come and have lunch with your fellow veterans.
It's lunch, it's not breakfast.
It's lunch.
Lunch.
So she will have a chaplain, she will speak, just to, again, introduce herself to folks, let you know what she's here for.
Yep.
I'm not gonna get my waffle.
Is that at Pitta?
No, no
Nope,
bacon.
it's downstairs.
No bacon for you.
And just a reminder that spouses are invited to attend that as well, which I think is important because then they will know who Karen is. I think it's a good introduction. The Council on Aging will be closed on Monday, May 29th, in observance of Memorial Day. Again, it's best for people to call us to register for any programs that they want to attend. Things like game night, we are ordering food. The last time we ordered a food for all these people that we anticipated coming, and then a bunch, obviously stuff happens, you get sick, whatever, you know, something happens, you can't make it. I would so much rather have too much food than not enough. There's nothing worse than when you host a party and all these people show up and you don't have enough food to feed them. So we just ask that people do call to register for programs. And then if you do register for something and you need to cancel, again, call us just so that some of our things like the watercolor class, we have a wait list of people who want to take your spot if you can't make it.
Wow.
So always give us a call and let us know. I talked about the volunteer luncheon. Kathy's working on programs for the next 2 months. Excuse me, we'll have a June, July newsletter next, so that will be sent to the printer in mid-May. So hopefully be in people's mailboxes the first week of June. And we always have a need for volunteer drivers. So if someone is interested in volunteering, you don't know what you want to do, you might be interested in getting folks to medical appointments. It is a nice way to help the community. You sign up as a NEAT driver, you would meet with the NEAT administrator, they go through, signing you onto their program. And then you access their software online. You see what rides are available in the area. You don't have to drive just for Newbury. We have several drivers that come from out of town and they take folks from Newbury to medical appointments. Maybe you just go to Anna Jake's or to a local medical appointment. Or maybe you want to go to Leahy, Peabody, or Burlington, or Boston. But it's a huge need. There's a lot of people in this community that are dependent on someone else to get them a ride, and they don't have anybody. They don't have family in this area. They're not close to their neighbors, as we know. Now it's very different than it used to be. So this is a huge program that Newbury benefits from it immensely. So if you know anyone who's looking for a volunteer opportunity, NEAT is a really great one. And you're not obligated. You could do one ride a month. You could do a ride every day if you wanted, anything in between. So it's a huge need. So I just like to mention it. I don't mention it every month.
On the survey, 50% of the people asked activities you believe you will, and that's nowhere to find a ride to the doctor.
Yeah.
That's an enormous concern for
And
me.
every newsletter, we always mention NEAT.
Yeah,
Every newsletter. So we mention, are you interested in driving? Here's how you can connect with them. Or do you need a ride? Here's how you do that. You call us. So if you are someone in the community who needs a ride, call the Council on Aging. We get you set up as a NEAT rider. And then
Nice.
we get you
yeah,
rides.
at the Strawberry Galley, Chuck and I were sat next to two NEAT drivers.
Yep.
Yeah, and I asked her specifically, she goes all the way to Francis Street. I mean,
Some
that's
of them
Route
do.
1, Zachem Bridge and
Yep.
Storrow Drive.
Yep,
That's 3 hours of engine time.
sure.
Ouch.
But they willingly do it on a
Yeah.
regular basis. Those ones that you sat with, it's a regular, yes, I'll take that ride.
Yeah.
We have one person who is going in for specific treatments right now, and he's in there pretty frequently. And without fail, he gets a ride to me. It's pretty awesome.
Tell me if I'm correct, Cindy, in the rare occasion that Kathy and Cindy can't get a neat person to transport someone, you've actually arranged for a private taxi
We do.
to transport that person at the council on aging.
So that is through donations from the chocolate tour every
Yeah.
year. So we do have
Huh.
some funding. I will say not everyone's comfortable getting in a cab. With NEAT, as with a cab, you have to be able to get in and out of the car on your own. The driver cannot physically put their hands on you. They can fold up your walker and put it in their trunk, or take your cane, but you need to be able to get in and out of the car. Same thing with the
Who do you
taxi.
typically use for the taxi realm?
We have a relationship with Port Taxi, and we've never had a problem. In fact, we've had people call us back to say that driver was so kind, and, you know, one driver even got out of the taxi, went in and got a wheelchair, because this one was gonna have to go pretty far. Talked to the transport staff at the hospital and said, I'm just gonna give her this wheelchair, can you get her to her?
Is that the firm that has all the British cars?
I don't know.
You see them?
No,
Port Taxi, I don't think so.
no.
Who am I thinking of? He's got a
I
fleet.
know the one you mean,
He's the official driver for governor's kids going into the village.
not coming.
Yep, not either, yeah,
But we've worked out with Port Taxi
good.
a good rapport. They invoice me and I can send the bill in through the town. So it's a
All right.
safety net.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
New business.
That's a lot. Thank you.
Does anyone have anything that they would consider to be new business?
I just wanted to mention the upcoming town meetings. That I know people see the signs, but it's important to attend if you are able and interested, I guess. But, you know, we're deciding on, we're first of many discussions about the new town hall, and so attendance, the more people who attend, the more input the town has, and that's a good thing.
For sure.
So just to reinforce what Damon said, it's tomorrow night,
Yep.
the 25th, at 7 o'clock at the Newbury Elementary School. And I believe they have a different process to check in. The people will not have the books that they typically have, where you say Orchard Street, 12 Orchard Street, and then they find your name and check you off. They'll have something like an iPad, and if you think to bring your driver's license, they can put that into the machine, or I guess somehow let it interact with the machine. It'll bring your information up. If you don't have your license, I believe it's the first 3 letters of your last name, and it'll say Ferrara, John, live on this address, yeah, okay, yeah. You can get a receipt, go in and get your little electronic device to use to vote. So they're using that at the annual town meeting. They'll also use that when you go to vote on May 9th. Same process. So when you vote on May 9th, you go to the incoming table, you do exactly what I just described for the annual town meeting, but you do not go through a line again to check out when you vote. It's one interaction, and you're in and out. Thank you for bringing that up, Damon.
It's a shame that more stakeholders didn't show up 2 Saturdays in a row. Mostly the pundits.
Oh, for the informative meetings.
It's not the people that need it.
Yeah.
I mean, the very center, I mean, for the first time in my existence, I heard somebody say that we once considered remote locations. It would have to be giant signs sort of saying, cross the marsh and you'll find the farm. Across the line and you'll find the town hall. I mean, it's a unique, beautiful village center, and if you want to attract good men and women to come live in this town, they're going to drive by that and see it and say, this is a good place to come back and visit and maybe consider living. We need a beautiful location that needs to be historic in its value.
Well, the will of the people will make that decision
I hope so.
tomorrow night.
I certainly hope
We'll
so.
make their decision tomorrow night, not that the Council on Aging is putting forth a suggestion.
No, not at all. Just the idea being, hope that the stakeholders, the young people show up.
Yes.
Exactly.
I do believe those 2 informational meetings were recorded, so if people would like the information, I believe they can see it only.
Saturday, they did say there was some problem with Channel 9 all week. You get a black screen and static. And Chairperson Greco talked to Matt Cooper about it, and I guess it was allegedly fixed. So you should be able to see it on Channel 9. Interesting is, last year at the annual town meeting, Leslie Haley recorded that there were 180 people who attended. 180 people attended, and there were 5,520 registered voters. So, anyway. Susan, anything from new business?
I don't know that it's really new business. I sent you an
I saw it.
email
Thank
last
you.
night. I write the newsletter for the Plum Island Taxpayers Associates, and I'm working on the newsletter. I'm gonna put a little plug in there for the COA, because we host the luncheons at the hall, and so we wanna show that we're supportive of the COA. So I sent
I'll
Cindy.
read that article that you sent.
Yeah, I just did a rough draft, and
Yep.
whatever you want to do to embellish it, that's fine.
Sure, and I'll
I
send you
guess
some photos.
what I'd like to put in there is, like, I can put in a reference to the Facebook account.
Great. So just because I'm new to this, what exactly do you need?
Just what is the Facebook?
Okay, so I will be, just to be clear, there are 3 Newbury Council on Aging Facebook accounts. 2 were created back in 2015 or something. There's really nothing on there, but I have to get Facebook to take those down. But I wanted to establish our new one so that they could see that we're legitimate. So I have to reach out to them,
Okay.
but that is a process. It's not like, hey, take those down. It's kind of convoluted. So I will work on, I don't know if I can like send you a link or, I don't know if there's an address. I'll figure that out, but I'll get it to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll pull around and just Google it when I get home, so which one pops up.
Yeah.
But,
I've been trying to take one down for quite a while, and it's a pain.
yeah, I
So,
don't know how
yeah.
that works as far as taking one down. And then the other question I did, we referenced the website, but the website is just the town of Newbury.
It is a town Newbury website, but I believe you put a /council-aging. I can get that to you too.
Okay, because all that took me to was under boards and committees, and then finding a list of, you know, who's on the
Members
council
are.
and who the
Yeah.
members are.
No, there's our page, well, I'll get you the link so that it's our page, so that they can see the menu where they can click on newsletters or different information.
Okay, because in the newsletter, it just says townofnewbury.org, I think. I don't have the newsletter with me, but.
It does, townofnewbury.org.
Yeah.
So,
it kind of doesn't really take you anywhere, it takes you sort of to the
yeah, you have to go to,
homepage, and then you have to know where to go
yeah.
from there, so.
so I can give you
People
that
aren't good with
specific.
navigating, so.
Okay, I can, get you the specific link, so that I
Yeah,
have that.
okay.
Again, the website, some websites that I've gone to of councils on aging have a ton of information on there. I think it's a little overwhelming, plus I would rather people call us
Mhm,
and have that interaction with people, and now we've made a connection
mhm.
to help them find different resources, as opposed to just, they cut us out altogether and they just go to the website and get what they need and leave.
Yeah.
So it's,
Do you have a link to the newsletter and the calendar?
Yep.
On there? Okay.
so,
Well,
That's by design,
I failed
that's
at
it.
navigating, and I use the internet all the time, so
okay,
I just got to the town page. So,
okay. I'll send that to you.
that's all.
So thank you for doing that, Susan.
Yeah, no problem. I think fill up the newsletter with interesting stuff, so.
Joyce, anything new?
Nope, nothing for me, new.
It's sad I lost it. John, I'll come back to myself later. Anything for new business?
No,
Chuck?
Just one minor note, when we speak, people listen. I noticed on Newbury Chatter today, there was the agreement for the payment on the Council on Aging downstairs. And remember when I said it's only good for so long? They're regurgitating that, so,
When you say payment for the company, you mean the lease for the?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah,
yep.
yeah. Well, it's-
So it is a topic for discussion.
It ends in-
Be ready
yeah,
for it.
It ends in
Okay.
2027.
Yeah.
and-
Well, it's a location question, that's a big measure.
Well, yeah, it's a location, I mean, there's an option to continue with the lease here too, so there, I mean, there is time to solve to find a town, a council on aging solution,
Well,
I
one,
think.
one of my recommendations, when you asked for 3, I gave you the 4th, which was you develop an ad hoc committee that deals exactly with that over the next 36 months. So that we don't end up 4 days before town meeting with a lot of information not yet dispensed.
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we need a head start as opposed to the way it was conducted for 25 High Road.
Yep. So,
No,
all right.
that's a great point, thank you for bringing it up. I still can't remember what I was gonna bring up. So we'll move on to establish May 15th. Oh, I know what it was. On May 13th, we'll have the well, I think Cindy and I will have the distinct pleasure of meeting with the Friends of the Newbury Council on Aging. I think that was the first date that was suggested.
I believe so, I don't know if it's been solidly confirmed, I said I was available.
I think I said I was available, so we'll find out what happens. So that means on the 15th, maybe I can report out what we learned from the Friends on that date. So, I'd entertain a motion to establish May 15th, 2023 as our next meeting date.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And also, having done that, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.